Some years ago, the philosopher Alan Watts said something fascinating about human behavior. He suggested that most people live their lives inside repeating patterns. Patterns of thinking, patterns of reacting, patterns of feeling, almost as if they are caught in a kind of psychological loop. And once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. People repeat the same relationships, the same fears, the same emotional reactions, the same life outcomes, not because they consciously choose them, but because something deeper inside them keeps recreating the same experience. So let me ask you a question. Are you tired of creating the same loop? Maybe you've tried everything: journaling, scripting, visualization, affirmations, meditation, imagining your future. You repeat the techniques. You follow manifestation methods. You listen to teachers, coaches, and podcasts. You try to think positively. You try to change your mindset. And yet nothing really changes. Maybe for a moment you feel inspired. For a moment you feel hopeful. But then life seems to return to the same place again. And slowly a frustrating thought begins to appear. Maybe manifestation doesn't actually work. Maybe it's just another idea people talk about. Maybe it works for some people but not for you. Maybe it's just imagination. Maybe it's delusion. And when that thought appears, it can feel deeply discouraging. Because you want something different. You want to change. You want to experience a new life. But you feel like you're stuck in the same emotional and psychological cycle. But what if the problem is not manifestation itself? What if the real issue is something deeper? What if the real issue is the loop? Because the truth is, manifestation is not something that requires enormous effort. It does not require struggle. It does not require forcing the universe. Manifestation is alignment. But alignment is something most people misunderstand. People think alignment means repeating positive thoughts. But alignment is not primarily mental. Alignment begins in the body. This is where modern neuroscience becomes extremely interesting. For decades, scientists have been studying the relationship between the brain, the nervous system, and emotional memory. And what they discovered is something profound. Your body remembers. Not just your mind. Your body. The neuroscientist Antonio Damasio demonstrated that emotions are not just abstract thoughts inside the brain. They are physical states that involve the entire body: heart rate, hormones, muscle tension, breathing patterns. When something emotional happens in your life, your body records it. The muscles remember. The nervous system remembers. Your physiology remembers. Over time, the body begins to learn how to respond to life. And this learning becomes automatic. Psychologist and neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett explains that the brain constantly predicts reality using patterns from the past. Your brain is not simply observing the world, it is predicting it based on stored experiences. Where are those experiences stored? In the nervous system. In the body. This means that the subconscious mind is not only located in the brain. In many ways, your body is the subconscious mind. Your body stores emotional programs. Programs about fear. Programs about safety. Programs about love. Programs about scarcity. Programs about rejection. Programs about possibility. Over years of living, reacting, worrying, hoping, struggling, adapting, and protecting yourself, your body learns a very specific way of being. A specific way of responding to life. A specific way of interpreting reality. And slowly, that way of being becomes your identity. This is why people repeat the same patterns again and again. The same emotional reactions. The same fears. The same types of relationships. The same limitations. Not because they consciously want them, but because their nervous system keeps recreating the same internal state. And that internal state keeps generating the same reality. This is the loop. So when people say they want to manifest something new, something extraordinary, something completely different, what they often try to do is visualize a new future, while their body is still programmed for the past. They imagine abundance while their nervous system still expects scarcity. They imagine love while their nervous system still remembers abandonment. They imagine freedom while their nervous system still expects struggle. And this creates tension, because you cannot create a completely new reality from an old identity. You cannot enter a new life while emotionally remaining the same person. This is where the process of change becomes very interesting. Because when you start shifting your identity, something strange begins to happen. You start feeling uncomfortable. You may even feel like manifestation is failing. You may feel confused. Doubt may appear. And suddenly you may start thinking things like, this is not going to work. Maybe I'm wasting my time. Maybe I'm being unrealistic. But what you are actually experiencing is something extremely important. You are standing between two worlds. You are no longer fully the old self, but you are not yet fully the new self. You are stretching between two identities, one foot in the past, one foot in the future. And this middle space can feel unstable, because the old self is still trying to pull you back. Your mind begins bringing up memories, past failures, past disappointments, stories about what happened before, and it tries to convince you that change is impossible. But here is something crucial to understand. Those voices are not your future. They are echoes of your past conditioning. Your nervous system is trying to protect you, because the subconscious mind has one primary goal: safety. Not happiness, not fulfillment, not abundance. Safety. Your nervous system prefers what is familiar, even if the familiar is painful, because familiarity feels predictable, and predictability feels safe. So when you begin imagining a completely different life, the nervous system reacts. It brings up evidence from the past. It reminds you of moments when things didn't work. It activates emotional memories. But this is not the truth about your future. It is simply the protective mechanism of the body. This is why manifestation cannot come through force. You cannot force love. You cannot force abundance. You cannot manipulate reality into giving you what you want. Nothing meaningful arrives through force. Everything meaningful arises through alignment. And alignment begins with regulation. Regulating your nervous system. Relaxing your body. Because a tense nervous system cannot perceive possibility. A regulated nervous system can. The more relaxed your body becomes, the more open your perception becomes. The more relaxed your nervous system becomes, the more creative your mind becomes. This is why manifestation is deeply connected to nervous system regulation. But there is something else extremely important to understand. Manifestation is not only about activating the future, it is also about stopping the past. This is one of the most overlooked aspects of manifestation. Visualizing the future is actually the easy part, the enjoyable part, the inspiring part. But the difficult part is stopping the automatic reactivation of the past. Every time you repeat the old story, every time you relive the same emotional memory, every time you reinforce the same identity, you reactivate the same emotional state. And that emotional state recreates the same reality. So the real work of manifestation is not only imagining the future, it is stopping the past from running automatically. This does not mean suppressing it. It does not mean fighting it. It means recognizing it. When an old thought appears, observe it. When doubt appears, observe it. When fear appears, observe it. You might say to yourself, interesting, my body is trying to protect me, because that is exactly what it is doing. Your subconscious mind is trying to keep you safe. But safety is not the same as freedom. Safety is not the same as fulfillment. Safety is not the same as the life you truly want. So something inside you must change. And this brings us to a powerful idea. The death of the old self. It sounds dramatic. The word death can feel uncomfortable. But transformation always involves the end of something. The end of an identity. The end of a pattern. The end of a story. You cannot move into extreme happiness while remaining deeply angry. You cannot move into freedom while remaining trapped in fear. You cannot move into abundance while remaining emotionally connected to scarcity. The old self must dissolve, and the new self must emerge. This does not happen instantly. It happens through consistent choices. Not perfection, Consistency. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to become an ideal person. You simply need to make the same decision again and again. To choose the new identity. Again, and again, and again. And this requires patience. Because we live in a world of instant gratification. Technology has trained us to expect immediate results. We track everything. Packages, orders, flights, messages. When we order something, we can follow its journey. We know exactly where it is. We know exactly when it will arrive. We want certainty. We want prediction. We want control. But manifestation does not work like that. The future cannot be tracked. Your brain is not designed to predict exactly how something will happen. The analytical mind cannot calculate the path of the future. The future emerges through countless interactions and possibilities. This is where trust becomes essential. Trust in the unseen. Trust in possibility. Trust that the process of becoming someone new is already unfolding. And instead of focusing on the outcome, focus on the state. How does the version of you who already lives that life feel? Calm, relaxed, secure, grateful, free. That emotional state is the key, not the outcome. The state. Practice that state. While cooking, while walking, while working, while interacting with people. Observe your body. Where is tension? Where are you holding stress? Notice it. Relax it. Because manifestation is not just about relationships. It is not just about money. It is not just about one specific desire. Your nervous system does not separate those things. You cannot be relaxed in love while completely stressed about money. You cannot be peaceful in relationships while constantly tense in your work. Your nervous system responds to life as a whole. Manifesting love is connected to how relaxed you are with people. Manifesting abundance is connected to how you respond to challenges. Manifesting health is connected to the emotional states your body experiences every day. Everything runs through the same nervous system. Everything runs through the same body. So manifestation becomes something very simple and very profound. Regulate your nervous system. Stop reactivating the past. Practice the emotional state of the future. Be consistent. Be patient. Trust the unseen. And slowly the loop begins to break. Not because you forced reality to change, but because you finally became someone new. And once your identity changes, your reality inevitably follows. Because the external world is always responding to the internal state. And that is where manifestation truly begins.